Hashtag Elon Musk is a traitor was trending on X today. The sudden outrage stems from this New York Times article, which correctly reports that Elon Musk shut off Starlink access to Ukraine during a pivotal attack on a Russian fleet. But to truly understand this story, you have to recognize the time frame. This happened last year during a period of time where the US was even worried about sending advanced missiles to Ukraine because it didn't want to give Russia a reason to escalate to a World War III. If he was really a traitor, why would he give it to them for free in the first place?
SpaceX have provided Starlink connectivity for to Ukraine. Really, within I think a few days of the war starting, government said the Starlink was instrumental in the defense of Ukraine.
So, like Biden, he wanted to avoid escalation, and that wasn't even the only reason he turned it off.
But at the time this happened, the region around Crimea was actually turned off. Now, the reason it was turned off was actually originally was because the United States has sanctions against Russia, and that includes Crimea in the sanctions. And we're not allowed to actually turn on connectivity to a sanctioned country without explicit government approval.
So now the full story comes together because Elon was actually breaking the law by providing them with Starlink, saw what was going on politically, decided to shut it off, and it was actually up to Biden to tell them to turn it back on, which he didn't do.
Yeah. But I should say that although I'm not President Biden's biggest fan, if I had received a presidential directive to turn it on, I would have done so, because I do regard the president as the chief executive officer of the country.
Isn't it amazing what you can learn if you don't just read the headline of an article and then head to social medias to virtue signal? And so now we had the full story. If Ukraine had even bothered to tell Biden or Elon about the attack beforehand, it might have never been shut off. And it wasn't shut off to all of Ukraine, it was just Crimea. Elon is still paying loads of money out of his own pocket to make sure that Ukraine has communication.
Cost of supporting things at roughly $100 million. Now, the $100 million does not count the massive risk to the entire Starlink constellation, because Russia would like to have the entire thing deleted.
Because Starlink is the only communication that Ukraine is able to utilize during this conflict, because Russia has literally jammed everything else. And people still want to attack him and say that he's the traitor. It's asinine. No good deed unpunished.
Well, all of the other sort of providers, the U.S. providers of support to Ukraine, are being paid. So then, why should SpaceX be excluded? That doesn't make sense.
I mean, just imagine doing all this, receiving this unfair treatment, and still being painted as the villain. He's this ego-driven capitalist that only cares about money. Who are you talking about? You're not talking about the same guy I'm talking about. We don't live in the same reality. And I'm not saying the guy has no flaws. Obviously, he has flaws, but I'm not going to talk about those flaws if I'm going online and seeing nothing but crazy made-up accusations. Someone has to tell the full story. Obviously, the New York Times isn't going to do it. So, hey, I'm going to fill in the hole. If you like me filling in the hole, like the video and send this to all your dumb friends that only read headlines.